All right, let's talk about the NFL Combine. Anyone that has been following the NFL for a long period of time knows that the NFL's pre-draft process has changed a lot over the last several decades. This all started in 1976, when the New York Jets became one of the first teams to invite players to their team facility for pre-draft workouts, medical exams, and interviews. Now, this was immensely successful for the New York Jets. Nearly half of all the team's draft picks over the next 6 seasons became full-time starters. This success led other teams to follow the same model, flying potential draft picks to their facility for workouts and interviews. But there was one problem. It became absurdly expensive, and college students were missing classes to be put through the same exact medical exams by several different NFL teams. That's when the Dallas Cowboys stepped up. The team's general manager and president at the time called on the NFL's competition committee to centralize pre-draft evaluations, and the NFL Combine was officially born. Now, the first combines were these mini camps that were held in various locations all throughout the country. But then the NFL moved one to Phoenix in 1985 and then New Orleans in 1986, before the event eventually moved to Indianapolis in 1987, where it has been held every single year since. Indianapolis was chosen as the location for 2 primary reasons. Number 1, the company that organized the combine was based there. And number 2, it was a central location for all NFL teams to be able to visit with a convenient downtown area. But the actual combine itself looks completely different today than it did in the 1980s. There will be thousands of media members at this year's event. Hotel rooms have been booked out months in advance. The entire process will be live streamed on cable television. A mix of owners, general managers, and league executives will fill luxury suites throughout Lucas Oil Stadium, and the players themselves have spent months preparing for this moment. Many of these players board planes after their college season is over, isolating themselves for the next several months at training facilities in Arizona, California, Florida, or Texas. Their agents typically front the fee, which can cost over $20,000 per month per player, depending on the level of service. And they spend the entire time perfecting drills that they will quite literally never have to do again, like the 40-yard dash. Now, there is some gamesmanship to the process, too. Teams secretly hope players they like post bad times and fall in the draft. We have also seen some strategic leaks over the years, like when Ohio State quarterback C.J. Stroud's on-field intelligence was debated last year after a leaked score from his S2 test. For those of you that don't know, an S2 test is a pre-draft cognition test that measures a quarterback's mental capacity. An anonymous NFL GM told The Athletic last year, "I think it was thrown out there by a team that had their own goals and wanted to use it to put him down." Now, if this process sounds unnecessary, it's because it is unnecessary. NFL teams usually have their draft board set by the time the combine rolls around. They may tweak a thing here or there depending on times or interviews, but scouting and medical evaluations have become much more advanced since the 1980s. And even former NFLPA executive director, DeMaurice Smith, called for an end to the NFL Combine. He said last year, "As soon as you show up, you have to waive all of your medical rights, and you have to sit there and endure embarrassing questions. And I think that's horrible. And I don't want to poo-poo any of that. But would you want your son to spend hours inside of an MRI machine and then be evaluated by 32 separate doctors who are, by the way, are only there for one reason? What's the reason? To decrease your draft value." Now, DeMaurice Smith makes a fair point, but the NFL Combine isn't going anywhere anytime soon. The NFL has turned this event into one of its marquee media properties. It's estimated to create $10 million in economic impact for the city of Indianapolis every single year, which is significantly below a Super Bowl at $500 million plus, but it's still a solid number. It's also a way for the NFL to build enterprise value for some of its equity-based partners, like Noble, who recently landed Tom Brady as a co-owner and serves as a presenting sponsor of the event, requiring all combine participants to wear their gear. The truth is that the NFL teams view this as a business conference. It gives them a central time and place to negotiate new deals or restructure old ones with agents. Executives from around the league, including NFL Commissioner Roger Goodell, are routinely seen dining together in the basement of St. Elmo's Steakhouse, cutting deals while dining on large steaks and shrimp cocktails. And it helps keep the media machine rolling, turning what should be a quiet time during the NFL offseason into a can't-miss spectacle for fans of every team, regardless of where your win-loss record was last season. So instead of getting rid of it, the NFL is probably just going to expand on this tradition. It won't rotate between cities like the NFL Draft because Lucas Oil Stadium was specifically built to host the Combine, with extra meeting spaces built out during its construction in 2008, and fiber optic data lines directly connected to the local hospital for real-time medical evaluation on more than 600 MRIs and 1,200 plus X-rays. But the NFL currently hosts the event on its own media platform, the NFL Network, and I could certainly see a world where they try to package the event's media rights into a larger deal, expanding upon the league's already lucrative $110 billion media rights package. But that's enough about the NFL Combine. Before we end today's podcast, I want to leave you guys with 3 things that I'm keeping up with today. Number 1, Red Bull recently released a video on YouTube, and you guys need to go check it out. They spent an entire year working with a drone company to build a custom drone to keep up with this Formula One car, driven by Max Verstappen, around Silverstone. The drone is absolutely incredible. It accelerates 2 times faster than an F1 car, hitting 186 miles per hour in just 4 seconds, and a top speed of 217 miles per hour overall. We all know that Red Bull's marketing team consistently delivers viral moments, and they have done it again. But more importantly, I hope they find a way to integrate this into their live broadcast. It's absolutely incredible and would totally change the viewing experience in Formula One. Number 2, Peter King announced his retirement this week after 44 years covering the NFL. Many people have had some really nice things to say about Peter over the last few days, all of which are very well deserved. But his contributions to digital media, specifically his Monday morning quarterback column, are highly underrated. Congrats to Peter on a great career, and I can't wait to see what you do next. Number 3, Anthony Kim. We talked about this the other day on the podcast, but he is one of the most interesting personalities in golf history. He still holds the single round record with 11 birdies during the Masters second round in 2009. But as I told you guys the other day, he has injuries, he retired, and refused to return to professional golf, seemingly because he was cashing checks on a $10 million plus insurance policy, which he would have had to pay back if he competed. But times have changed in professional golf, and Kim is returning this weekend via a deal with Live Golf. Now, my expectations are low. He hasn't played professional golf in over a decade, but I'll be watching his first round this weekend for sure. Although, if I was Liv, I wouldn't count on it as a long-term viewership bump. Other than that, I hope everyone has a great weekend. Please do me a favor. If you enjoyed this episode, leave me a 5-star review. Tell me what I'm doing well, what I could be doing better, wherever you're listening to your podcast, on Apple, Spotify, or wherever. Have a great day. We'll talk later this week.